Can you make a fortune during a stock market recession? Well, I'm here today to tell you, you absolutely can. In fact, investments in the stock market during a recession would be one of the possibly easiest way to create a fortune if you invest in the right stock. Today, we are going to be taking a look at two specific examples, and I'll be sharing with you why having invested in companies such as them during a recession would have actually paid off immensely. Now, the very first business for us to review as an example here is Johnson & Johnson, with a long history of dividend payment. In fact, Johnson & Johnson has been paying its dividends for over 59 years. And in all of those years, they have increased their dividend year after year. Definitely considered to be a dividend king with over half a century of dividend growth. As you notice here for Johnson & Johnson, they currently do pay a dividend annual amount of $4.52. You notice here during the recession of 2007 to 2009, the stock for Johnson & Johnson was down 27%. This is the difference between its stock peak all the way to its stock trough. And during that time, this is how much the stock fell. That said, even though as an investor, you might not be able to call it exactly when the stock has hit the bottom. For example, we are here looking at the historical data of the stock. You notice if you go back a little bit, goes back to 2009. The stock, if you look at this column, is showing you the low price for the stock. Went as low as, like, we started from around 60s, let's say in November of 2008, goes down gradually to 56. You're noticing even go up a little bit to 60, to 58, all of that. Now, at one point, it started to hit to that 40s level. This was around the March of 2009 when the stock started to hit that low. You might not have called it at that time. Let's say even if you stayed still on the sideline and didn't invest in the stock, you thought, you know what, it might go further down, and I'm going to wait and I'm going to invest later. Even if you had done that and waited, let's say for the next 2 months or so until the stock hit back and came back up around that $55 mark, and then at that point you decided, you know what, I think the stock has already hit its bottom because it's recovering. And even at that point, if you invested, let's say around May of 2009, at that around $54 or $55 point, since then you've been continuing to collect their dividends, because this is a very repeatable business that as we indicated, for the past 59 years has been paying and increasing its dividend. Let's take a look how that would have returned for you. If you look at the details here on Seeking Alpha, and we are interested in the yield on cost. So let's say we go back to around May of 2009. So I'm going to try to find that here. It's a large graph, so I have to go slowly to find that around the 05 of 2009, that month. If you had bought the stock even at that time, we are talking about May of 2009, and that is roughly about 13 or so years ago. Since then, based on your average purchase price of, let's say, $55 or so at the time, given how much dividends is paid to you by Johnson & Johnson, they continues to grow their dividend, your annual dividend yield based on that average purchase price would be 8%. In other words, you would be rewarded with 8% in dividend based on current price of Johnson & Johnson, which is just remarkable. Just holding on to this stock and buying and holding almost forever kind of approach for Johnson & Johnson stocks. Just remarkable. You'd see how this would have been even better had you bought the stocks over time. So for investors who bought into the stocks long time ago, so let's say if you bought this stock around 30 years ago, you'll be paid dividend yield of 36% based on your this is yield on the cost, because of course you had bought the stocks at much lower price. With amazing businesses like Johnson & Johnson or other dividend king stock that are considered to be buy and hold stocks, your dividend yield is almost guaranteed to continue to grow for the most part for years to come, as long as the business continues to obviously remain a dividend king and continue to increase their dividend yield over time. That's just remarkable in that sense. In this case, keep that threshold of around 30% the drop in the stock price as to when it was kind of a sense of how far this stock dropped during those recession years. Now we do have and look into the performance, because obviously it's so amazing to receive an 8% dividend yield from this stock, but how would your buy and hold strategy paid off in terms of the stock appreciation? So let's go back to around that time frame of May of 2019. We talk about here. So let's say around May 8th, with a stock price of around $55. Now, had you hold on to that stock since then and not traded the stock, at this time, let's say all the way, if you go to July of 2022, during that time frame, roughly about, as we talked about it, around 13 years or so, your return in terms of the stock price appreciation would have accounted to 216%. That's just an incredible return for this stock. We have another example to showcase that. This example is Coca-Cola, another dividend king stock that has been paying its dividend and increasing it as well for the past 59 years. Coca-Cola currently pays the annual payout of $1.76 per share. With that in mind, let us take a look at the dividend yield on cost. So let's say similar story. Had you bought the shares of Coca-Cola around the May of 2009, let's take a look here. Based on that time horizon, we are talking about around 7% dividend yield on cost. Now, there were times that you could have even got even higher yield. Let's say if you bought in February, it would have got to even as close as 8.5%, but we are not greedy, and that would be still a great return. Had you bought it years ago, let's say 30 years ago, you're looking at a dividend yield of close to 17% or so. That's why investors like Warren Buffett and their firms that have bought into amazing companies like Coca-Cola and alike many, many years ago, not only they are reaping the yield of their appreciation of the stock price, but also they're getting a wonderful, amazing dividend yield, given how early on they got into these stocks and they've been patient enough to hold on to their shares. We can also take a look at Coca-Cola's return since then. If you look at their May of 29, let's say around that time frame, the stock was hovering around that $23 mark, and since then the stock is showing an incredible return of around 174%. Again, a wonderful cumulative return for investors. I hope these two examples showed you how by selecting high quality dividend stocks during a recession, that the stock had actually declined in terms of its price, not only you'd be able to ride the wave of stock growth and stock appreciation post recovery and post recession, you'd also be locking in some amazing dividend yields for many, many years to come that benefits you as an investor, and particularly as a buy and hold investor of high quality dividend stocks. I hope you found this video beneficial and gained something of value from it. Let me know what your thoughts are and whether you are considering adding any high quality stocks to your watch list to take advantage of during an upcoming potential recession. Let me know what tickers you're considering for that. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Here on Momentum Finance, we post every week several videos about investing, including investing in dividend stocks, growth stocks, penny stocks. We also talk about investing in crypto and ways to reach financial freedom. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time.